We study how various processes of urbanization affect nutrient pollution and nutrient runoff from urban landscapes, and try to work with partners to develop alternative strategies for development to minimize our impacts. As people move to Florida, more and more people are moving into cities and suburban communities, and as we do that, we build houses and we build roads, and through those processes, we're changing how water moves across the landscape. And also, along with the water moving across the landscape, there's chemical pollutants that move from the terrestrial lands into our surface waters, and those can cause major ecological issues like harmful algal blooms or lack of biodiversity. We have multiple study sites throughout the city of Gainesville and other parts of the state where we collect water samples and other signatures of water quality on a regular basis, and we measure various natural ecological processes that can be affected by and affect water quality. In order to understand what's affecting water quality downstream, we need to know the sources of those contaminants and ways to limit those sources through alternative practices in the landscape. Things like reducing fertilizer and irrigation use, alternative soil amendment sources like compost is another thing that we look at. So ways to reduce our impacts on the land, because that's ultimately the source of the problem in the surface waters. One thing that I think is unique about our lab here at UF is that we work throughout the entire watershed. So we sample nutrient contaminants and other contaminants in people's soils in their individual yards. We have 20 landscapes throughout Gainesville that we sample from. We measure nutrient runoff and nutrient leaching from those sites. We sample stormwater ponds, which represent the connection between the terrestrial and the aquatic ecosystem. And we work in local sites but under real world conditions because we want to know what's really happening in people's backyards. So after we identify the concentrations of different chemicals in the water and how it's affecting our natural processes, we try to link those with various development processes, urban development processes that are occurring throughout the landscape, and then identify alternative strategies for development to minimize those impacts. So we work with developers and landscaping companies to identify strategies to reduce the chemical impacts and hopefully lead to cleaner water throughout the state.